I'll show you how to make a clock today on LaserNug. Welcome back to my little shop. Before we jump into Lightburn and I show you how easy it is to make the template, we need to consider a few things first. I'm going to jump onto Amazon. Before we go into Lightburn and design our clock template, we need to decide what type of movement or which movement we're going to purchase. The clock movement itself kind of looks pretty much standard. There is one big difference which is important that we need to consider before we begin to build our template, and that's the length and thickness of the shaft on that movement, because they come in different lengths. And that, of course, is because you may be using different thicknesses of materials, and you need to make sure that that shaft is not so long that it far extends outside the thickness of your clock material, and you also want it long enough that it's going to fit around it. And I'll just give you a simple example here. This is the clock movement, or the third one now I've purchased. I'm just trying different ones. These things, although they're so inexpensive, they're surprisingly accurate. But let's take a look here. This is what I'm looking at for this next design. And if you click here, I've got a picture, and not all of them are going to give you these, so sometimes you have to wait till it gets delivered. But this distributor or this retailer has provided me all of the shaft measurements, the measurement of the movement itself, its thickness. The second thing that you need to look at is the length of your hands. With the length of these hands, I'm pretty safe building a clock that's about 11 inches in diameter, and that fits perfectly because I've got 12 by 19 inch stock. So now that I know what my measurements are for that middle hole, I know what my length is here, I can jump into Lightburn now and make my template. So we're using 1/4 inch material. I'm going to go to my circle command. I'm going to press and hold shift, and I'm going to make a circle. I'm going to color that red because that's what I use for my cut layers. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to maintain the aspect ratio, and I'm going to make this 11. I also need to get a circle cut in the center for the shaft. I know it's going to be about 6.5 millimeters, so I'm just going to quickly click to millimeters. It's a little easier for me. I'm going to press and hold my shift button, make a little circle, click my select tool, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make this 6.5. And now I need to get this circle right dead center in the middle of my large one. So I've got that selected. I'm going to press and hold shift. I'm going to click the outside circle, and I'm going to come up here to my target command, and I'm going to give that a click. That's going to put me exactly in the center. I'm not going to group it yet though, because I need to determine my spacing for all of my numbers or whatever type of design I'm going to put around the hours of the clock. And here's how I'm going to do that. In example one, I'm just going to put dots. Whether I choose to leave them there, or I'm going to engrave them, or I just want them as a placeholder, I need to set the specific increments of the hours. So I'm going to click on that, and let's just make a little circle. And I always like to duplicate things before I use them, just in case. And I need to get this at the 12 o'clock position. And let's just say we put it roughly here. I need to ensure that this is lined up to the 12 o'clock position. I can either grab this, press shift and hold the outside, come up here and align this vertically to the center. That should put me right in the middle. The other way I can do this, if I want, let me just back out of that, is I can come over here to the side. Whether you're aware of it or not, there are, I think, an infinite number of alignment lines, I think they're called, or alignment grids. You'll see here how my cursor changes when I get to the edge of the toolbar, and if I pull it, I get an alignment line. And what that's going to allow me to do is to make sure that I'm lined up perfectly in the center. You'll see as I get close, it's telling me I just hit the line. So I know that's where I want to be, and I can keep this or I can delete it. You can also pull them down from the top if you need it from the top. Let's just delete that, delete this, because I now know that my 12 o'clock position is perfectly centered above my center hole. What I'd like to do is I need to create equidistant markers all the way around my clock. For visual ease, I'm going to change the color of my markers, and let's just make them blue. I'm going to highlight my marker. I'm going to grab the outside arc, and I'm going to come up here to the arrange commands, and I'm going to come down to copy along path, and watch what happens. It automatically defaults at 4, the number of copies, and it's calculated the exact equidistant spacing between each of these markers. And in essence, now I have the 12 o'clock, the 3 o'clock, the 6 o'clock, and the 9 o'clock already there. I may choose to just leave it that way as a simplified clock. If I want to place all of my hour markers, I just have to change the number of copies. Let's put 12 and see what happens. And there you go. I have 12 perfectly spaced equidistant markers. I click OK, and honestly, that's just your basic clock. you're pretty much done. If you want to engrave these circles, if you choose to replace them with something, you can do that as well. But all of these dots are exactly the same distance from the edge, and they're equidistant between them. And that's it. Cut my hole, cut my shape. I can use acrylic, plywood, blend them. I can do a number of different things, or I can change or replace these markers. Let's assume though that you want to use actual numbers. So let's give that a whirl. I've removed all my dots just as a second example now because I'm going to use numbers. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way to be able to use the copy along path command when it comes to text, but let's grab some text. I want to make sure that all of my numbers are not only equidistant, but they're also the same distance from the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another circle. Press and hold Shift, grab a circle, click my select, and I'm going to make that a tool layer. And now I'm going to take my inner circle, which is a tool layer. I'm going to grab my outside, and I'm again going to center it. You'll see why we need this in a minute. This is where your alignment lines come in really handy. I'm going to come and grab an alignment. I'm going to drop it in here. And we want to put that exactly in the center of this circle. I also need another alignment line because I want to make sure that all my numerals are going to be parallel to the center hole. So I'm going to come up top and I'm going to grab another one, and I'm going to bring it down for now. So I want all of my numbers spaced on my inner circle, and let's grab our 12. I'm going to bring it over. Let's zoom in, and I know this is the center of my 12. I'm going to drop it right on that line. It's also at the exact cross section of this alignment grid line as well as my circle. I know that it's at 90 degrees because it sits that way, and I'm going to check that with this line. It's nice and flush, so I'm good for the 12. That 12 is staying there. Let's try the 9. I need the 9 over here. I'm not sure quite where that center is, but I'll bet if I bring this line down, let's blow this up, and I will plop that right in the middle. I'm going to grab my 9, and I'm going to center it again at that cross section. I already know it's square or 90 degrees, and we just do the same thing for the 3 and the 6. However, what happens if I want to put the 11 in? So I need to figure out where the 11 goes. We know that we're 90 degrees between our 9 and our 12. Our 11 should be here, and it needs to be equidistant. That's 30 degrees off. So I'm going to grab this alignment line, and I'm going to negative 30 degrees that line. And now let's bring this line down, center it in our center hole, and now that's exactly where the 11 goes. How am I going to line it up? I'm going to grab my 11, and once again, I want to put it right at the cross section. And you'll see whenever you're perfectly centered, you get a little target. Your cursor turns to a target. So now my 11 is exactly placed, and it should exactly be, and it is, parallel to this axis. Another option you have is you can turn your numbers so that they kind of face in towards the center of the clock. So let's grab our 5 and do that. Come down here. I've got my 5. I've already placed this line at a 30-degree angle from my perpendicular 6, but I need to put my 5 in. I'm going to grab the center of this. I'm going to center it, but I want my 5 to be parallel with the axis to the center. How do I find that? I'm spinning it. Not sure where it's going, but I need to make sure that I am locked on that center, and there you go. There's my target cursor again. I don't know if I'm properly square, so I'm going to grab this line, and I'm going to make this line 90 degrees to this line, or negative 30. Does it? And it does. I'm going to grab my line, and now I can square up the top of my 5 to make sure it is perfectly square. It's slightly off, so I'm just going to grab my 5, and I'm going to give them a little turn. There we go. And now I'm square. And I can do that, of course, with the rest of the clock. So I think that provides you a basis. It's super fast and super quick. And clocks are a pretty cool thing to add into your repertoire, especially if they're for, housewarmings, cottages, homes, vacation homes, different novelty gifts that people like to hang in their rec room or by their bar or wherever they want to put a clock. This one is going to be for a cottage, so I'm going to do something a little different. Your creativity only goes as far as your imagination, whatever type of materials you want to use, whatever type of designs, staining, painting, acrylics, mixing match, or in this case, I'm going to use my UV printer and I'm going to UV print the back of this clock. So myself, for this project, I'm not using numbers, nor am I using any of those little dots. I just need the base outline. I'm going to fire up the laser. I'm going to put my settings into Lightburn, send the file over, and let's cut that craft plywood. You need to make sure your background in your file is transparent, otherwise the eufyMake will assume that the white background needs to be painted white. I'm not going to resize it, I'm going to keep the original size. Now we've got to size this to my circle, but you'll notice that the file outline is much larger than the 11-inch circle or the size of the circle. So I need to crop this. So I'm going to grab my crop button. I'm going to bring these a little closer. Let me just make it larger for my eyes. Okay. Let's bring this guy down. And I'm going to click crop. And now my picture should be cropped. Let me drop this down so we can see it better. It is. And now what I want to do is I want to make this file 11 by 11. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to break my aspect ratio. And I'm going to make that 11. And the other one 11. And that should be a perfect fit to that piece of wood. Let me re-enable my aspect ratio and let's take a look and see how well it fits. There we go. I'm a little off. Let me take a quick look around. I'm just going to make this a lot larger with these old eyes and make sure that I am not seeing any gray outside of these. And I think I'm in good shape. Just so you know, this is the very first time I'm doing this. So hopefully I've got it right. I've set my white CMYK. I've got 6 of white, 1 CMYK. I'm going to do this flat. Everything is good, standard bed. Let's do a preview. That looks good. Let's print it. Okay, geez, it's going to be a long print. Let's hope we did it okay. And 7 mils of ink. Let's do it. Wow. Once again, this eufyMake provides absolutely outstanding results. So hey, we're going to wait for the Amazon driver and then I'll show you how to put together your clock mechanism. I got it. Let's take a look. So it's surprisingly easy to put together and very, very simple. They all pretty much look the same. I have a feeling they're all made in the same factory but just sold by different resellers. But there's your mechanism. Usually they'll come with a hanger bracket so you can hang it on the wall. It'll come with a rubber washer, an aluminum washer, a nut, usually around an 11 millimeter, and you'll get your hands here. Your minute hand, your hour hand, and in some cases you'll get a second hand. And these are all pretty much the same. You have your threaded shaft to secure it down to your back plate. Then you have a smaller shaft inside it, that's for your hour hand. Then a smaller shaft again, that's for your minute hand. And then there will be a tiny shaft inside, which your second hand just presses into. And that's literally it. There's very little difference. The only difference I have found so far to the 3 I bought is some of them will have a compression fit here, and instead of another compression fit for the hand, it'll be threaded with a really, really tiny nut that you have to put on. They don't usually come with a battery, but generally you'll need a AA. Let's put it together. I'll take my mechanism, usually battery side down. If it came with a hanger, you're going to want to place your hanger in. In this case, it's got a recess there, so it'll just fit right into place. There you go. You're going to want your rubber washer. There's a recess side, and that should face down. Affix your clock face, your washer, and then secure your nut. And remember, you're dealing with a lot of plastic, so you want to firm this up, but you don't want to reef down on it too tight. I want to make sure that I kind of face everything to the 12 o'clock position. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm lined up. And then I'm going to take my 11 millimeter and I'm going to try to tighten that up, or at least firm it up nicely. Now let's attach our hands. So again, each one of these is a friction fit. You'll note that your hands, in pretty much every case, is a very, very thin piece of aluminum. And the reason for that, I found out, is because the clock mechanism doesn't have the power to turn weight. So everything has to be lightweight. But we're going to put our hour hand on first. I'm going to point it to 12. I'm just going to slide it over the shaft, and I'm going to press down to get that friction fit. I got it. You'll notice that the minute hand has a smaller hole. Once again, friction fit. And lastly, in this case, I've got a second hand. And I'm going to push this down into the middle. There's a tiny little shaft in there. These are very malleable because they're so thin, but you want to make sure that all of your hands, of course, are separated so that they're not going to hit each other. We'll put our battery in, and you'll see there's a wheel here so you can set your time. And as you can see, as soon as that battery goes in, it starts working. So there you have it. That is a beautiful clock. Easy to assemble, very low supply cost, and good return. A few things I wanted to leave with you before we wrap up. This is an example of why you want to make sure you choose your mechanism first and purchase it. As you can see, I kind of got a little crazy with the size or the length of these hands. That's not going to fit. That was for a bigger clock. Second thing you're going to find is you need to really read the descriptions, because some of them, for example, in this case, in one part of the description it said there was a hanger included, and in that parts picture it wasn't there. It didn't come, but it was actually listed in the description as part of the included pieces. Also, when you get your clock mechanism, make sure you've got all the pieces. I had one that I purchased, it was missing one of the nuts. And it's such a tiny nut, it's not something I can replace or something I have in any of my hardware. You may also want to choose whether or not you want a second hand. In this case, I got one. In the other two, I didn't. And lastly, look for the word silent. This one ticks. Not a terrible thing, it's not incredibly loud, but this is actually a silent movement. I can't hear a thing. And as you can see, that second hand is going around the clock, but I don't hear it. And the last thing I wanted to point out is you'll notice that the mechanism sits out probably about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch into the back of your back plate. One other option you can do is you can take a 1/4 inch piece and maybe an 1/8 inch piece, cut your rounds out, glue them together, but in the 1/4 inch piece, you can actually cut out a hole or a square so that you can set your mechanism or recess it into the back of the clock, and that'll give it more of a shallow profile when it's hung on a wall. Just an idea. Thank you so much for sticking around. I always appreciate it when you spend time with me. Have a wonderful week. Please be kind to each other, and I'll see you again. I'm Gord Potter, and you've been watching LaserNug. Cheers.